Hello, Nell. Very nice to
Mhm.
see you again. And I am super happy to have you on that Council of the Heart Economy. I'm very, very blessed. And
Oh,
I,
thank you. I know it's good to be
I'm
here.
loving already what we're building together. So, for us to be able to introduce you to the audience and to the community of this amazing movement that we're building together, can you tell us a bit about your background?
Yes, with pleasure. So I have to start my bio when I was 12, and I promise I won't go like quarterly from then. I'll keep it short. But it's important to know that I grew up in Hartford, Connecticut, which no one should have any reason to know, but it's sort of a historical city with some, legacy and beautiful architecture and cultural stuff that is really down on its luck. And so for people who might have watched The Wire about Baltimore, it was that. It was um, I went to a beautiful elementary school that was diverse in cultures and socioeconomic classes and all the ways. But where I would have gone to middle school was really not. It was really violent. Teen pregnancy was a thing, like at 13, 14, 15, gangs. It was just not a happy learning place. And so my mom had the wherewithal. She was a self employed massage therapist, so not a ton of cash, but she knew enough to say that if we moved 400 yards or 400 meters, right, as far as some people can hit a golf ball, not me, I would be in a different situation and I would have access to a different set of schools, which we did and I did. And, without any shedding of claim or belief or pride in my abilities and my parents help whatever, but the school launched me off to Harvard. And not that Harvard is the end all be all or the only place that one can succeed, but obviously it has some cachet and it opens doors. And so really early in life, the fact that we do not recognize the equal distribution of talent really stuck with me as a problem. Not in like, oh, poor them, my friends who didn't switch schools and who went on and made their way through a difficult school environment, not out of pity, but just out of like optimization. Like, this is not great for us all. We should be nurturing everybody in equal ways. So, anyway, that was really my nugget of Dharma, as we've talked about, or purpose, this notion that it is in all of our collective interest to help everyone awaken to how they are at their best and how that can contribute to solving the problems in the world that matter. So that's the important part. I worked for 10 years internationally in nonprofits, got a little frustrated by the low ceiling that we tend to put on the not for profit sector. And so I went to business school. And now for the last 15 years, I have been working in ways of facilitation and coaching and writing and thinking to create tools and practices to help people do just that, to understand where they are at their best in terms of happy and fulfilled, but also contributing, and where in the world that fits in any seat, regardless, nonprofit, for profit, big, small, geographically, and so forth. And so that's the work I do today.
Wow, that's awesome. So we could say somehow that your life prepared you to this conversation, to this very
Mm,
conversation that is so important.
absolutely. Every minute.
uh, so and then recently you decided to join this heart economy movement, and again, very blessed about that. And so, in your view, what is the most transformative potential of the heart of a heart-based economy? How do you believe it can reshape industries, organizations, and communities?
Yeah. So, honestly, what really excites me about this is that it is natural. And so, when I say that, what I mean is we were, we have literally evolved to use our hearts to get around. And whether that's to hunt or to legislate investment banking mergers, or whether that is to create restaurants, right? Our heart is the natural driver of everything that we do. And then of course there's the heart, not in the biological sense, but in our sense of, of all of our dharma, of all of our natural goodness. I have a deep belief in the goodness of humanity. And so to me, having worked in the nonprofit sector, having worked in impact investing and kind of ESG type fields, which is all very complicated because the world is complicated, right? It's hard to figure out what is the carbon output of this? How could we reduce it? What are, the externalities of this work? I'm not taking away from the complexity of these issues, also on a human level. What does inclusion mean? And how can we actually level the playing field after centuries of racial or gendered or religious bias and problems? So not minimizing that, but because of this deep fundamental belief in the positivity of humanity and a broader belief in the wisdom of nature, right? When we look at tree systems or a beehive or horse herds with whom I work very closely, the wisdom is next level. And so what I think is that following the heart is sort of a silver bullet to figure all the rest of that out, right? And it's not to say that it doesn't require, again, engineers and technical psychologists and psychiatrists and all of that technical knowledge, but we have that, right? We have never been smarter in that way than ever, and we're only getting further with that. Sometimes the missing piece in that work is the heart. And I know that the heart is the unlock of all of that, to say, because that is a demand driver, right? Then again, the rest falls into place if we're truly coming from heart. And so to me, that's the potential, is that it's this huge overarching unlock to a fairer, healthier, more inspiring way of work, which is my real dharma and purpose.
Mm-hmm. And so would you say that beyond the complexity, right, that you were describing here, which is real as well, there is that simple expression of ourselves, which if we focus on that, we start to unravel many problematics or many issues that where we can find solutions more easily, right?
Yeah, 1,000%. 1,000%. I was just a quick example. I was listening to a podcast conversation about AI, as I'm sure we all have been in the last few weeks, months. And the conversation was about on the tech company side, I won't share which company it was, but as they were building the AI, this one engineer who'd been really core to that early team was recalling the conversation, which was actually a debate about the importance of truthfulness to AI. And that it was a conversation, that it was up for grabs, or a debate of, does this AI really need to be fact-based? Is that an important feature or not? And again, these are very bright people. And so I'm sure that there was nuance there that is lost in that phrasing. But to me, that's like, if there were hearts in that room, that is a very easy question to answer. And I don't know the technical implications of engineering that, or maybe that's hard, but that is not a question that's on the table if hearts were leading. So anyway, I just share that as an example of, like, we really deeply, urgently need to reconnect to heart in all the pieces of the economy, a million examples in public policy as well, right? We need to get back to that.
And your example is beautiful, because in the end, in that room, there were hearts. They were not being expressed. They were not being, at the forefront of the decision process. But we all hold these hearts in ourselves. I mean, we don't have much of a choice on that count. And we are all activating that heart one way or another in business, even if sometimes it's quite remote, right? And so what does motivates you personally to be part of this movement? Why did you make that choice?
Yeah. I'm a severe, far on the scale introvert. And so, those of you who played with that know that it's not about not liking humans. I love humans. But it is that I really hate kind of small chat and more superficial conversation. I really love deep conversation. And I love my dharma. I love my work. And so deep conversation about this work, which thankfully so many other beautiful people like you are so, all in on, is just one of my happiest places to be. So that's the first piece of it. That's the me. I think about everything in that me we world, three dimensions that I think of. And so that's the me piece. The we is that it takes I don't want to use military, but it takes a village. It's going to take a lot of us coming from a lot of different angles, right? Those of us like you and me who have tools and frameworks to provide to people in companies, people in organizations who are willing to lead like this and trust the hearts and activate the hearts in those conversations. It takes students, it takes professors, it takes policymakers. And so to be part of a group like that is just really powerful. And then the world piece, I think, is sort of that quantum physics energy side, right? Of when we're all doing our pieces, it ripples, but when we're all doing it together, it ripples like a wave, right? And that reaches farther and more powerfully.
Mm. Okay, and in that, do you think that wave is going to encounter some resistances? How do you see that we
That's a trick
can
question,
tackle
Arno.
them?
You know resistance. I think yes, I know it's going to meet resistance. So my book comes out in a few weeks, and I break all of the different chapters down into and talk about three pitfalls. So obviously there's a lot more to say, but that's an easy proxy that I can use. And the first is inaction, right? Inertia is powerful. And so just not taking action to trust that heart, to bring that heart into the room, is one form of resistance. The second pitfall that I see a lot is shoulding, right? So, or you can that's peer pressure. That's the tech guy saying I shouldn't bring my heart into this conversation. And then the third is orthodoxy, right? And that's just this notion of this is how we've always done it, which of course we know is false, right? It's maybe since the 50s or since Friedman doctrine or, whatever, but it's not how we've always done it. So those are some of the forms of resistance that I see.
Okay. So, in order for heart economy to be revealed in one's experience as a business leader, I guess, we embark on that journey of what we call the heart leadership, and maybe there, that also that illusion of vulnerability, which can be as resistance, even if it's an illusion, but still we run by them a lot, and so being able to help people to understand that all these obstacles we were talking about, these resistances, are not necessary, because in the end, it's our heart we're talking about, which is the very core essence of who we are, right? On top of which we've created our mind and all these beautiful tools that are absolutely amazing too. To help the heart economy to realize that we are already using our heart in the economy, and let's do it together.
Yeah. And use the good side, not just the bad side, because honestly, I think, negative emotion is stronger than positive, just biologically speaking. And so our hearts, again, are in our bodies, right? There's no like separating. You can't leave your heart at home. And so I think what we see is the negative side of the heart, which of course heart has a shadow as well, and so that jealousy or fear or envy, right? These things also come from the heart, not a heart in balance or a well heart, but the heart nonetheless. And so, we do see those things play out every day, whatever people want to call them in business. And so I think it's like, well, goodness, why wouldn't we get the good part of the heart involved if we're allowing this shadow side to be in the room?
Yes, very true. So we shall help everyone and ourselves in that process to grow into that heart. And can you share a bit more about your latest news and how we can reach you? I think we're about to this interview. So
Yeah, so my obvious one is the book. I have it right here because it's very top of mind. And so October 3rd, whether you're watching before or after that, as of October 3rd, 2023, the book is live. And the piece that I'm most excited about is the playbook that I wrote to go along with it. So the book, has this framework that I've built over these 15 years of work and 150 interviews with brilliant, heartful leaders. But what we know is that this transformation will not happen unless people do it themselves, right? I have a learning and pedagogy background, and just reading something does not do it. It does not change behavior. And so the playbook is essentially like a guided journal, right? And so it's a very DIY way to do the work that I do with companies and with leaders, to just do it on your own, or allow your employees or your team to do it and really think through one proxy I use is, what do I want my grandkids or my dog to think I do every day, right? Like, if I were as good as my dog's thoughts, what would I be doing and how would I leave the world behind? But I think that anchoring helps to bring heart into the room because it just connects in a more personal way. So the book is out. Get it. Get it for your team. Let me know what you think.
Your
And
book
it's
is
easy to
about
reach me via,
your book is
sorry?
about purpose, right? Leadership with
It
purpose,
is.
if I'm not mistaken.
Exactly right. And so the subtitle is Find the Courage to Lead Purposefully and Inspire Action.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
Well done.
going first,
How
available
can we reach
shortly.
you? Do you have a website where we
I
can?
do. Yep. So 3dperformancegroup.com is my website that holds everything. And then LinkedIn, if anyone forgets, my name is quite odd and easy to find on LinkedIn. So I'm very active there.
Okay, we'll add that to the notes. No worries.
Please.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Nell. And I'm very, very grateful again. And I'm looking forward working with you.
Likewise, Arnaud, thank you so much.
Bye.
Take care.